when this truck was being developed, it was 2008, 2009. Gas prices were going through the roof, truck sales were imploding, and here we are spending all this money developing a new off-road truck. I mean, people literally thought we were crazy for like 3 years while we were doing this. And we started doing another third-generation Lightning. We were really struggling, actually, to match the performance of the second-generation Lightning. And so we thought, well, you know, why don't we try something different, and why don't we try to really amplify a truck's DNA versus putting a sports car kind of a halo around the pickup truck. And that's where we started going down the super off-road avenue. I had been an off-road racing engineer for a long time down in Baja, and so that's kind of how a high-speed off-road truck was kind of born.
The studio had never done a project like that before, ever. You know, a high-performance off-road truck, really with the DNA of a Baja racer or a pre-runner. There wasn't anything out there to really compare directly to. You
know, all of our vehicle dynamics engineers, they didn't know how to tune an off-road truck, and so it was a white space product for us too. Even internally at SVT, we were kind of scratching our heads, thinking, is this really, you know, should SVT be doing an off-road pickup truck? And
when you're dealing with a white space product, you don't know what the wrong answer is, because there hasn't been a wrong answer yet. You're walking down uncharted territory. What I wanted to do is I looked at the current F-150 that's out today, and I said to myself, what would I do different? And how can I take what an F-150 is, what a Ford truck is, and just turn the volume up? Make it so this thing, when it's coming down the street or off-road or wherever it is, people take notice. And I remember actually a meeting I had with Jamal early on. I had done some sketches that my design management had liked. Jamal was so-so on them.
I still remember that, because I remember the first sketches were like more of a safari mobile,
yep.
You know, than an off-road racer.
Jamal understands off-road racing, and I really didn't at the time. This is early on. And I remember him giving me feedback. He's like, you really, you know, it looks kind of off-road, but it doesn't look dynamic enough. You should look at stuff. And I did.
When I was working in Ford powertrain, I started working on this Baja trophy truck. And you know, we developed an engine, a transmission, and electronics and data logging, and I started, you know, going out and doing race support. And there were many evenings in the middle of the night down in the Baja Peninsula that we just you know, kind of dream up, hey, if you could do an ultimate off-road truck, what would it be? And that's a lot of that came out here. We sent a lot of engineers out to off-road races, just to kind of get a feel for, you know, that off-road culture and kind of lifestyle. And the first time we built our prototype truck, and you put an engineer behind the wheel of that first pre-runner that we built, and they, you know, to a T, everyone comes out giggling like schoolgirl, they had no idea you could have this much fun in a pickup truck off-road.
Yeah. From a studio perspective, we took a lot of these, you know, where you buy a truck and then you add this, or you change this, you change that. We did that in the studio environment. So we created a very holistic approach to what this vehicle was going to look like. We didn't just say, oh, we're just going to go slap that part on here and put this here. It was just like we develop a normal vehicle, we did the exact same thing with the Raptor, and I think that's part of its uniqueness, is it looks thought out. You know, if you look at the body side, the way it really has a flowing type of feel to it, that's where it came from, off-road racing. From my perspective, the one thing that engineering delivered to design was great proportions. The way the wheels are set to the body, the way the body and the overhangs, all that, it sets the table really well to do a great design. Now, the other half of it is you got to deliver a great design. There's plenty of great proportion vehicles out there that don't look that good. But if you start with great proportions, you've set yourself up for success. The absolute key feature was the FORD in the grille. Because if you look back on Ford truck heritage, that's a really strong identifier that goes way, way back. And here was a way to do it, and do it in a modern way, and really do a gratuitous nod to the Bronco concept that we had done years before, and also a lot of the Ford trucks that go back to the late 40s. And it creates something absolutely recognizable instantaneously, especially with the way that the marker lamps are in the grille, which is there purely for function, but the function and the design work harmoniously. But to me, it's a really nice way to say, here's engineering and design coming together and creating something really unique.
From an engineering standpoint, there was a surprise every day. Like case in point, the rear shocks has the shock rod has a stone guard because there's no bellow on the spring. And so, the stone guard was front facing to prevent rock chips. And so we started doing a lot of off-road testing, and well, it turns out that rocks were getting sprayed onto the back of the bumper and bouncing off the back of the bumper and going forward and chipping the backside of the shock rod. Who knew that could happen?
Yeah.
So we had to do a full 360-degree stone guard. Before the Raptor came out, every single off-roader, the first thing they would do was disconnect the ABS because it's not calibrated to function on dirt. Well, now we have an ABS calibration that is designed to, not spin and not lock up the tires at high speed, but then when you get to lower speed, it allows lockup so you plow dirt. The way this truck stops in the dirt is unbelievable. I mean, really unbelievable, but it's using the electronics to help you stop. And that's access to technology that no off-roader ever had before the Raptor.
We refined it and refined it and refined it, but we never deviated. We never said, okay, we're gonna go try something completely new. If you looked at the clay model that we presented to senior management and then you compared that to the production truck looks better. We actually were able to take the things that we did and we made them better. And that, in my experience working in the industry, that doesn't happen very often. And I think that's a real strong nod to the team. I think everybody thought we were going to sell a lot of these vehicles in kind of that core market, that southwestern area. The surprise to me, I'm from Vermont, they're all over Vermont. They're all over the southeast. My sister lives in France. She sent me a picture of a Raptor on the highway in France. They're everywhere. And I think...
Middle East, China.
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah.
I think if you get it right, it can resonate anywhere.
I think before the Raptor, people equated off-road capability with a very harsh and stiff ride. And that's because no one had really introduced the concept of a long travel suspension onto a road vehicle. And the biggest surprise and delight, the first time people get into a Raptor, if they've never driven it before, is how nice it is to drive on-road. It's one of the most comfortable F-150s that we make. And that's, they look at this thing and they think, oh my God, this thing is gonna be really stiff and uncomfortable. And they get into it and it's like, oh my God, this thing is really soft and pleasant to be in on-road. And I think that's even further fueled a lot of the sales because the truck makes an awesome daily driver to drive down the highway or a road trip or anything like that. Yeah. So,
when we did the first Raptor, we had a clean sheet of paper and we really didn't have anything that we really wanted to bring forward. As we move forward, there's definitely things here that you don't want to throw everything away.
The biggest challenge facing us as a performance car group globally is weight reduction. How do we design the next generation of products to be more efficient, lighter, simpler, more elegant solutions versus big, heavy monsters?
I would say from a design perspective, just building off of that, we have to visually communicate exactly what Jamal said. We have to visually communicate lightness, efficiency, and still make it modern and desirable. The current Raptor definitely has as its backbone, it's an F-150. It's of the F-150 family. Okay, very different vehicle, but it's of the F-150 family. And if we were to go that way, say, you know, with an Atlas or something like that, you know, it knows where it came from. But again, if you look at the Raptor and you look at the current F-150, they're the same, but they're very different. And they're instantly recognizably different. And our customers for Raptor, they want that. They're extroverts. They want to be seen. And we'll make sure that that happens.
I think one thing that we can take away from the Raptor is that, I mean, nothing is really off the table for a project that we could work on, whether, and it really, you know, in terms of white space, there's still so much white space out there in the performance car world. I use the Raptor every day as a benchmark with our engineers, just to, you know, if there's crazy ideas, you know, let's hear them. Let's entertain them. You know, nothing, really nothing should be off the table.
Catch all the latest auto enthusiast news at AutoWeek.com, in AutoWeek Magazine and iPad Edition. Talk with us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at AutoWeek USA.